Welcome back, viewers, to another good game. Today we're having some tea with tea time with Wyld. And I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty late in the afternoon and I've already had like 3 or 4 cups, so it ain't my first cup of the day. Anyway, today's topics are substitutes, and it's brought to you by Ropahex from Reddit. And the second tea time topic is how to lessen the impact of one-shot in PvP. Okay, so let's start with the substitutes. Basically, substitutes is a hero that can substitute for one of the more popular picks in case you don't have that popular pick. So let's start with one of the most used team synergies in the game, and that's free attacks. And this is also the best substitute in the game because everybody has him. And yes, you're right, I'm talking about Hawkeye, guy that never misses. Basically, as you can see here, Hawkeye is actually a pretty good substitute for a free attack team. I'm gonna change up what I'm loading him here with. First off, he has not that ability. Yeah, first off he has Spotter that increases his accuracy by 25% and applies sharpshooting, which increases his range attack damage by 40%. And it's removed if he's damaged, but his free attack is also a range attack, so that increases his free attack damage by 50%. So let's slot Spotter. Secondly, here it is. Fire support, which provides the buff Overwatch. It allows him to perform a free attack after any ally is attacked. So this is a very nice ability. So let's load him up with that as well. And for the last slot, we're gonna load his rapid shot, I think it's called. Yeah, there we go. Rapid shot. That gives him a chance of getting 1 to 2 free attacks after this action is done. So as you can see, it's all about the free attack here, if you so choose to go with Hawkeye. So yeah, Hawkeye is a good substitute in a free attack team. You could also use him in a projectile team because he has something called project targeted, I think, in a targeted team. Let me just find ability. Here we go. Targeted. Projectile attacks against his target gains 25% accuracy and deals an additional 25% damage on a crit. There are several characters in the game that has projectile attacks. For example, in this case, I would use him with Age of Ultron Black Widow, which gives the whole team sharpshooting and off balance on the enemies, targeted on enemies, etc, etc. And she, of course, uses projectiles as well. So he's a pretty good substitute in a projectile team as well. So far, everybody has Hawkeye. He's a good substitute for a free attack team, and he's a good substitute in a projectile team. And free attack being one of the most done team synergies makes Hawkeye not such a bad choice actually. So okay, that's Hawkeye. Our second substitute comes to us from Black Widow. Basically, most of you probably took Black Widow as your 7th day Avenger because you read on the forums or Reddit or video guides or whatever, but a lot of people took Black Widow as the 7th day Avenger. And now with her nerfs, you might have benched her, but she's actually a pretty good substitute in a static shock team if you're missing one of the more popular characters. A second here. I need to press the usiness out of the package. And while I do so, remember, I like to know what you're drinking in, what kind of tea you're drinking while watching, Tea Time with Wyld. I like to know what my viewers drink for tea. Okay, first taste of the day, or actually not. Hot. Anyway, also, remember that if you have any topics you would like me to discuss during Tea Time with Wyld, please put them in the comments or leave them somewhere on Reddit for me. I try to include one topic from the viewers every episode. And the topic for today from the viewers is substitute. So without further ado, let's continue in on Black Widow. Black Widow's nerfs might have wanted you to bench her. I showed in a Not a Tea Time a way to adapt to them, but this is also a way to adapt to them, and that's by slotting into a static shock team, in case you don't have the one of the heroes of the popular choices like Spider-Woman, Electro, Thor, etc, etc. And that is because she has an ability called Shocking Touch, which is applies Clobbered and Static Shock. When you upgrade it, it's an 80% chance to apply Static Shock and Clobbered. And it becomes a fast ability when you reach 4 stars. And that's really important, because you want to attack as often as possible in a Static Shock team to trigger that the debuff. You also preferably want free attacks that are counter shocking as well, so that you trigger that debuff as well. So yeah, definitely here Shocking Touch. And she also has, after you apply that Static Shock, you can also use Widow's Bite. It's a ranged shock attack that has a speed of fast, that applies weaken and is flanking. And you can get that weaken up to 100% if you 4-star it. And you also get the stamina cost down to 25, which is really nice. So you go plus the round you use it in, stamina wise. So Black Widow is a pretty good substitute in a Static Shock team if you want to fill a one character slot that you're missing from it. And the last substitute we're gonna go through today is a pretty underused character, Black Panther. He can go in as a substitute for your bleed team in case you're missing Drax or Gamora, which is the preferred bleed team, because he applies wounded, Drax applies wounded and has sharp attacks. So he fits very nicely with Gamora and Groot, who also use sharper attacks, and Gamora applies the bleeds. Anyway, Black Panther has an ability called Claw Swipe, which applies bleeding and makes himself stealthy. It costs 25 stamina at 3 stars. Does pretty good damage for a fast ability at 4 stars. And it, once again, 25 stamina. You will regain stamina the turn you use Claw Swipe. It's also a sharp attack, which is very important when you're using bleed attacks, because sharp attacks, regardless if they're bleeding or not, trigger bleeding debuffs on the target that's already there. So for example, if you were to use Claw Swipe, you would apply bleeding, and if the target already has bleeding before that, you would trigger them as well. So very, very important. And of course, his 3-star skill here, Shadow Strike, is also a sharp attack. So it's very important having sharp attacks on your bleeders slash wounders, because basically Black Panther is a good substitute for Gamora in a bleed wounding team. He's pretty good as a hero. He's pretty underused for some reason, but I like him, and he's definitely a good substitute. If I didn't have Gamora for bleed team, I would definitely use Black Panther. So he's a good substitute. And basically, it's a good question that Ropahex over on Reddit asked, because not everybody has every character, which will mean they need, at some point, if they want to try a team, they need to use a substitute to get the team going. And for the first 2 substitutes I recommended, they are pretty common. Hawkeye everybody has, and Black Widow a lot of people have. So, and they can fit into a Static Shock team and a free attack team, 2 of the most popular team synergies in the game, and they're pretty good as well, especially if you run them with the right setup. The second topic we're gonna discuss is how to lessen the impact of one-shots in PvP. I know for some people who have played a while, this might come as an overcourse but it bears repeating. Basically, whenever you want to survive in PvP and avoid, or at least lessen the impact of one-shots, there's two sets that you need to have. Straight off the bat. I know whenever I'm up against a good PvP team is when I notice that they have the barricading set and the impenetrable set. Okay, first let's check over barricading set here. You gain a shield at 50% health, and that shield is, I would say it's around 1000 to 1500. It's probably a percentage dependent on your character's health. So probably around 40 to 50%. And basically that's around 2 to 3 green ISOs on your health set. And that's from just the set bonus alone. So hugely important. And of course, impenetrable set. Take 50% less damage from attacks while above 90% health. This is the outer key of the combo. Let's say, for example, you have 3000 health, and you take an attack that does 3000 damage on your character. Pretty normal in PvP. And if you have impenetrable set, it will take you down. So you will not take 3000 damage, you will take 1500. And that will take you down to 1500 health, and you will survive the one shot, and also proc barricading set, which in turn will give you 1000, for example, say here, 1500 health, which means you still have 3000 health, even after you got, basically one-shotted. So, yes, barricading set and impenetrable set are hugely important. Without these two sets, you will be one-shot from time to time in PvP. It's inevitable. But if you have both these sets, the odds of being one-shot are extremely slim. And it shouldn't happen. But it can happen for some crazy attackers, like, for example, say a Rocket Raccoon attacking one of your glass cannons, and he's behind a protection, and he does his, Sveron launcher, he devastates, and, stuff happens. And you might take, more than 6000 damage in an attack, and you only have 3000 health, so you still die. So it can happen, but it's super rare. So I know the barricading and impenetrable set, it doesn't allow you to have coordinated, but coordinated is more a PvE set, because you must have barricading and impenetrable set in PvP to really perform versus the PvP teams that are really tough. And granted, you can survive without them, of course, but it makes it so much easier and so much more fun when you're facing a team that has barricading and impenetrable set themselves, because that means you're in for a fight. And those fights generally take more than one round. They take at least 3, 4, 5, sometimes even 7, 8 rounds, because you slowly chip away at the people and try and take them down. And after a few rounds, all the buffs are up and everything like that, and the debuffs buffs are up and debuffs are running. So it basically becomes very hard to you one-shot anybody after a few rounds of buffing and debuffing going on. Anyway, that's the most important tip for PvP and how to avoid the one-shotting. And it is barricading and impenetrable set. And yes, coordinated is really good, but it's more a PvE set, and you should definitely use barricading and impenetrable set, because otherwise your team will get one shot quite often as well, because most heroes don't have a lot of health, and the damage people can do is pretty severe. There's also another set which I actually don't recommend you to use, and it's called the benevolent set. It's this one here, resist death once per battle. It's a 6-slot set, so you can't use impenetrable and barricading, which is why it's a big no-no. But you would think that this would be the premier set in PvP, but it actually isn't. Because what it does is that it gives your hero tenacity. And tenacity means that when you die, you still have 1 hit point, but you don't die, and you get to do 1 more round. And with counter attacks going on, preemptive attacks going on, counter attacks going on, yeah, sure, you get 1 action more, but then it's bye-bye with that hero instantly for 6 of your 8 slots in set bonuses, and that's just a huge waste. And also, not to take into account, it's super rare to get a hold of Benevolent, and you also need it in the right colors and in the right ISO tire for, and goodly starred as well. So yeah, that basically makes it not worth it to use. There are also characters that can help you survive one-shotting. I'll go into them in a sec here. I'm just going to start up a spec group so we can show you Hawkeye in a free attack team, where he actually can perform pretty well. I don't have him loaded with coordinated because those are on somebody else, but for this purpose, just imagine if he had coordinated as well. Okay, let's change out here. And then add in Hawkeye. There we go. So imagine even more free attacks coming from him, because if you're using Hawkeye in a free attack team, you should have coordinated on him to give him even more free attacks. Basically, the 2 characters beside the tank should have coordinated ISO sets in a free attack team. Anyway, as I was saying, there are 2 characters that can actually help you out in to lessen the impact of one-shotting, and that's Age of Ultron Black Widow. Whenever you start the PvP fight, she comes in and gives you gives the enemy what's it called? Gives the enemy she purges the enemy of stealth and protection. So that's a really nice combo to be having, because when you remove stealth from glass cannons in PvP, that means they do 20% less damage because they're not no longer stealthed. And that can help you a lot with one-shotting. Also, there are some characters that are dependent on using stealth for their one-shotting. Famously, Black Widow before her nerfs. After her nerfs, she doesn't depend on stealth anymore for her abilities that way. But there are some characters like her that need stealth to do the one-shotting. For example, let's take Black Panther as an example. Shadow Strike does a ton of damage, and it does 50% more damage when it's in stealth. Literally one-shotting people. That means that if you take away that stealth from him, he will do 50% less damage, and then he will do 20% less damage because he's no longer in stealth as well. So overall, 70% less damage received, and that's pretty huge in trying to avoid being one-shot, especially if you're also running barricading and impenetrable. So that's one character that can help you avoid issues with one-shotting. Not everybody has her, but if you do have her and want to lessen the impact of one-shotting in PvP, just go right ahead and use her. We also have Heimdall, and the way he lessens the impact of one-shotting is because he goes first. So in this case, offense is better than defense. Which basically means that if you take a character out, that character ain't gonna attack you back. So all in all, those are the 2 characters that can really help you out in issue where you have some issues with one-shotting. And of course, viewers, if you have any auto suggestions, feel free to post them in the comment section, because one-shotting in PvP is one of the comments I see a lot on Reddit, and these tips will help you survive. basically, the best tip I can give you is use barricading and impenetrable if you want to avoid one-shots in PvP, because that will let you avoid at least 90% of the one-shots in PvP and will give you a good fight in regards to the PvP round where you hopped into, that you loaded into. And I have it on 2 out of my 3 characters. I use Daredevil, Black Widow and Wasp for PvP. My Daredevil and my Wasp have room for it, but the specific combo I'm using right now in on Black Widow she needs to have coordinated and Wyld, otherwise that wombo combo won't work. So, but before that I was using Black Panther, and on him I had of course barricading and impenetrable. They are key to PvP, and it will make it a lot easier for you to get higher up into the ranks. And also, another thing to take into note is that you don't really need to have the best ISO tires. You could use it on what's it called? You could use it on ISO tire 3, for example. It's not the big leaning ISOs, but the broad at the bottom going up ISOs. It's the ISO tire 3. It's the second best one, so you could use that if you really need it, because it's better to have the sets than not have those sets in PvP. So if you lose some stats for it, it's well deserved and you should do it. Those set bonuses is hugely important for your success in PvP and your enjoyment of PvP as well, because if you have characters to play with in PvP that actually don't die instantly, you will have a lot more fun in PvP. And for you players that are new, I know there's a ton of you, and that haven't reached level 30 yet, or don't have level 30 characters. For you again, barricading and impenetrable is, I wouldn't say a must, but it's awesome and well deserved. And you should use that, and that will help you maybe achieve rank 5 or even rank S if you're lucky. I've read it on the forums and on Reddit that most people have some issues reaching rank S if they're pretty new or haven't had the time to play a lot. That basically means below level 30 and don't have any heroes above that level, or below level 30 as well. So that will definitely help you reach rank 5 easier than it otherwise wouldn't. I'm just gonna put in some deploys here for the mission. There we go. And as you can see here, Hawkeye, he's pulling his weight. Are the better characters for free attack teams? Most assuredly. Is he a good substitute for a free attack team if you don't have the popular picks? Most assuredly. And as I said, I don't have the coordinator here on him, and you should definitely use coordinator on him to gain more attacks. There we go. And I'm using both Hawkeyes here. Basically, I use Hawkeye as my off-balance AoE applier. There are other characters you could use. For example, Black Widow, Age of Ultron. She has projectile attacks that applies off-balance to the whole team. She doesn't really fit into a free attack team though. But you could, for example, use Star-Lord. I think it's called Spirit in the Sky, the ability that provides off-balance AoE on your enemies. There we go. And of course, buffs are always nice. Let's just take them out here. As I said, if you have any tea time topics that you want me to discuss in Tea Time with Wyld, please put them into the comments. And and I'll see what I can do. I try to get one topic from you viewers, and it actually makes me think a bit. For example, this substitute topic that came from Ropahex, it actually forced me to think about the substitutes that people could use, because I have all characters basically, which means I don't have to worry about it. But so I haven't thought about it at all, and it is a really good question. It forced me to think about stuff I haven't thought about before, and then I had to think, okay, the best substitutes are the ones that are most widely available. Which means you need to focus on which characters do most people actually have, and in what teams do they fit into. And that naturally led me to Hawkeye, because everybody has him, and as you can see, he's doing work. That's even without the coordinated set. So yeah, he's definitely a good substitute, and that led me into Black Widow as well, since she is, and probably she was, and she probably is, the most picked Seventh Day Avenger choice. Would I pick Black Widow today, knowing that in her change state over any other Avenger? Yes, I would. She's still by far the best Avenger in the game from those you can pick from that 7-day pick. You might make a case for Iron Man actually. He has some potential in other teams, and he is a pretty good character. But I would much more prefer Black Widow. I might be biased because I've been playing with Black Widow for months and months and months, and we just feel really odd not using her. So yeah. Anyway, my teacup is running out here. You know what that means? It means Tea Time with Wyld is nearing its end. And as I said, put into your comments what kind of tea topics you would like me to see discussing in the future. And don't forget the big question: what kind of tea do you drink? If you liked Tea Time with Wyld, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. And until next time, have a good game.